This video is for you if you're looking to start your property investment journey, but you haven't got 10, 20, 30, 40,000 pounds to start your property investment. I'm going to share with you how you can start your property investment journey with less than £5,000, but also how you can live in a house rent-free, bill-free, and make £400 net profit every single month. And here's the thing, if you're always thinking about investing in property and you haven't made that decision, this video will show you a roadmap to take you to start and scale your property investment journey. Look, if you can invest 20 minutes of your time to watch how you can secure a property without hefty deposit, so you can start your investment to make money work for you instead of you working for it, I'm afraid you will keep working for money. Let's get to it. My name is Rahim Bah. I was like most people, working as an accountant in a job where I was undervalued, underappreciated, going nowhere. I took the leap of faith and start my property investment journey with no money to building a multi-million-pound property investment portfolio. I now have my estate agency, a renovation company, and I now help people like you to use my tried and tested method to make, manage, and multiply income through investment properties. Oh, by the way, if this is the first time to bump into this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you implement this strategy, what I'm about to share with you, without shadow of a doubt, you'll be financially free. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to look for a property with 6 bedrooms in it. So we are going to go in as a tenant who's interested in renting that property from a landlord. A landlord that is looking to rent all 6 of the bedrooms within the property itself. And this is going to blow your mind away. It doesn't need to be HMO property, as long as it's very close to city center and town center and train station. For those who don't know what HMO is, HMO is a type of property that different individuals will live in and also share in the communal areas. It's like house in multiple occupation. So what you could do, you can find a landlord who is willing to rent a 6-bedroom house to you as an individual tenant, and then obviously you then subsequently rent that property out. It sounds crazy. We call it rent to rent. The only differences are you are going to be living in the property in order for it to kind of not need to be compliant with all this HMO regulation. But if you really want to be on the safe side, obviously it's better and really good for the property to be compliant as well, just in case something goes wrong. But that's what you want to do. Looking for a 6-bedroom house that you can rent out. So if you look at, let's take Cardiff for example, a 6-7-bedroom house in Cardiff is currently going for about 1,800 to about 1,900 in the current market. So this is a 6-bedroom house close to city center and got about 3 bathrooms in it that you can actually live in and pay £1,900. So what you then got to do, you got to look for properties like that. You may be thinking, whoa, how do I get these properties? What sort of requirements is needed, right? Let me explain to you. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna go to a platform called Gumtree. Gumtree is a platform where private landlords advertise their property. So you're gonna go in, put Cardiff on the search bar, and then you look for rental properties. And then obviously you go down the page, you then filter to private. With that result, it takes you directly to the landlord and you look for these 6, 7, or 8-bedroom houses. Then you go in and meet the landlord, say, look, I saw your property, you advertised it online. I'm interested in renting it on a long-term let basis. So now what the landlord would ask you at that point is, how are you going to live in a 6-bedroom house? And say, look, I'm going to live with my friends. That's what you're going to tell. I'm going to be living with my friends, but I will be responsible for all the bills, all the rents payment. I will be liable for it, but I'll be living in the property as well. I'll be looking after it myself. And by the way, you don't have to worry about repair and maintenance. You don't really have to worry about management. I manage the property myself, so therefore you don't have to actually worry about that. For them, that is a music to the landlord's ears. It's literally having a management agent in your property. So because now you know what you need to do, you're going to be very, very clever at this point. So what you then do, basically, you're going to take on that property, right? And then you rent that property from the landlord. So perhaps then we secure the property. Let's say we secure the property for £1,900. Let's say we secured it for £1,900. So your rent would be £1,900. Obviously, we got to pay deposit as well. So your deposit also would be £1,900. That then takes us to £3,800. So this £3,800, it's your initial rent and your deposit that you pay to the landlord to secure the property. That then becomes our rent and deposit. So the next cost that we would incur perhaps is to buy the beds, dining table, getting a nice TV, perhaps maybe painting and decorating some of the bedrooms, and then obviously then to get the property look really nice. So maybe that would cost us about £1,200. This is like, you don't have to go and refurbish the whole house or refurnish the whole house, because obviously they may be renting it as a 6-bedroom house anyways. So that then basically gets us to our £5,000 initial investment. So this then is £5,000. We're done, we're in, we've got the property, we've secured the property. Oh, sorry for interrupting this video. I just wanted to draw your attention to a guide I've just created. This guide is for you if you're looking to start and scale in property investment, and you've got questions that you want to ask in order to start your property investment. This guide is the ultimate guide to start and scale in property investment journey. I talk about the different type of investment strategies. I also discuss the 11 ways you can raise finance to make any property no money down deals, and the type of properties to buy in order to generate a serious return in your investment. And I'm giving this book away for completely free of charge, no string attached, nothing, absolutely free. Click the link on the description of this video to get your free guide now. We've only got a limited number of these copies available as well, so click the link to get your guide now. Let's get back to our video. So now, that then takes us to the next part. Suppose then now we've secured that property from the landlord, we can go to a platform called SpareRoom. SpareRoom is one of the biggest platforms where landlords advertise their properties on a room by room basis. So for properties in Cardiff, a double room usually goes for £600. So £600, and in a 6-bedroom house, knowing that you're not going to rent one of the bedroom, because obviously we're going to be living in that bedroom to look after the property, you can rent 5 of those bedrooms, and 5 of those bedrooms will generate us about £3,000. So £3,000 becomes our gross rental income. This is the money we make from renting the 5 remaining bedrooms. So obviously now we've got some expenses to pay for. We've got to pay the landlord their rent. So obviously we secured it at £1,900. So that then becomes your first outgoing cost. So once we've received our rent from the landlord, then obviously then we deduct £1,900 from it. We pay the landlord every single month. If anything, set it on a standing order, because that way you're not going to miss to pay the landlord. Obviously, because we are taking on the property, we're responsible to pay the utilities around the property: electricity, gas, fiber optic, internet, water, all the stuff that goes around the property. We are responsible to pay that on behalf of the other tenant in the property itself. So usually a property like 6-bedroom house, your monthly cost should be about £700. So £700 would be our running cost to keep the property going. So if we minus the 700 and 1,900 from our £3,000, that would give us a net profit of, you guessed it right, £400. So basically, we've secured the property from a landlord on a guaranteed rent basis, pay the landlord £1,900. We then got a running cost of £700, and we rented that property, and that property, after taking all our expenses, generate us how much? You guess it right, £400 every single month. Okay, so if we times that by 12, you're talking about £4,800. So your annual net profit is £4,800 plus, you're gonna love this, you're living rent free, bill free, utility free, everything basically free. You're living absolutely free of charge. Okay, I'm gonna talk to you how you can actually expedite this process now to make it work really hard for you. You may be thinking, oh, this is all nice and tidy, looks amazing, and you're so excited, and you're thinking, oh, how do I rent that property? How do I know how much I can rent that property? So the way you do this is this. Basically, you're gonna take that same property, you're gonna go to the platform where you checked how much people were paying for the property here. You go and check, you go to the platform, it's called SpareRoom. You can go and list your property there, as a rental property. So the people are interested in renting a room in your area will contact you directly. And it's very simple and easy to use. The way they created that platform is to ensure a 6-year-old can go and use it, upload their property for rental as well. So it's very easy. You pay about maybe £2 or £3 or maybe £5 to kind of upgrade it so your property would be on top of the listing. And believe me or not, if you get the right property, the right location, that property will rent for less than a week, right? That's how you put it on the market. You've got SpareRoom, you've got Gumtree, you can put the property in the Gumtree. If you're one of those that are like, Rahim, I don't want to wait that long, I really want to rent this property, you can get an agent to find you the tenant only. They call it the let only contract. They will go out in the market, look for the tenant, vet the tenant, reference the tenant for you, and then hand them over to you with all the contract. They move into your house, you manage it, so you don't have to have any problem with finding tenant. It's as easy as that. It's not that hard. It's really not hard to get the property rented, especially if you got it in the right location. And then obviously then you got all the tenant in, you're making £400 every single month. And then obviously that gives you £4,800 a year from a property you don't even own. How does that sound? Sound exciting, right? Sounds very amazing, right? And here's the thing, you may be thinking, oh, this is too good to be true. How can this be possible for me? It is possible. Why? Because I've done it. I've lived it. I've implemented and I've helped tens of people, right? To do exactly what I'm sharing with you here right now. Okay? It's not a magic bullet. It's something that you can go and look actually to find. So what I did basically, see this £400 I was saving every single month, and I was working at that time as well. I think I was making about £1,500 a month, taking all the bills. I was about £1,200 left over. So that used to be the leftover I used to pay for my flat, for my bills, for all the other stuff that I used to pay for living in a 1-bedroom flat. So at the end of the month, I only had about £100 to £50 left. Basically, all the money was going on expenses. But when I learned about this, getting a bigger house so I can rent the other rooms, it changed the game for me. All I did from that £1,200 is to take £200 of it for my feeding and all the rest of it, and I saved the other £1,000. So in essence, every single month, I was actually making and saving £1,400 every single month. You times that by 12, £16,800. Hello? £16,800. I live frugal. I don't go out spending money. I don't go to event. I don't go to social because I knew I wanted to be financially free. I wanted to make my finances my duty, obligation, and responsibility. So getting £400 every single month, but also saving £1,000 also every month from my salary. So I was accumulating money. I was making money basically. At that point, I didn't have any expense. So what I then did, when I hit month 6, the same landlord I went to, I said, look, I've looked at your property. It looks very, very nice. I paid you your rent every single month. Do you know anybody else that may be interested in what I'm doing with you right now? Guess what he said? It's like, well, look, you've done amazing in that property. I'm happy to give you another one. Right? I said, yes, you happy to get that? He gave me another property. That also was a 5-bedroom house, not 6 bedrooms. So what I did, now I've got to live with my existing tenant. I still lived with my existing tenant, and when I took the other 5-bedroom, and that 5-bedroom also was generating me £3,000 every single month, right? £3,000, and that 5-bedroom was making me about £500 because it was a smaller house and the bills were also smaller and the rent was also smaller. So in about that time, looking at the rental income at that point, I was making about £900 plus my £1,000 every single month. I was nearly making £2,000 a month. Times that by 12, you're talking about £24,000. That's how I started to build my property portfolio. You may be thinking you got to be smart, you got to be super genius, you got to be one of those that hardly think smart. It's as basic as this. You can go and implement this strategy and give it a go. You've got nothing to lose. especially the current situation you are in. You haven't got money to buy a house. You haven't got the 10, 15, 20, 30, or maybe even 60,000 pounds to buy a house. And even if you're on 40,000, most people cannot save more than 200 pounds a month. And you are on a maybe basic salary, having these properties, living with your tenant, making serious return without paying any other bills. Unless if you're really, really weak and lazy, then you will not make money. Listen to this. This is how you could start your property investment journey without having to pay 30, 40, 50,000 pounds on a deposit. You control the asset, you make money from it, get a referral, you go again, rinse and repeat the whole process. If you want to know how to implement strategy like this, I would like to invite you to a very special one-to-one consultation with one of my specialists to learn how we may be able to help you implement strategy like this so that you can take yourself a little bit closer to your financial freedom. The link is on the description below. But also, if this strategy makes sense to you, or you got any questions, or literally it gives you goosebumps, it gets you excited, or maybe perhaps sounds too good to be true, let's have the conversation on the comment below. If you like this video or any of my videos, smash the like button below, subscribe to my channel for more amazing videos. I look forward to sharing the next one.